What's going on, guys? It's your boy Sheiv the Wise, and welcome to Vader's Lair. I hope you're having a fantastic Friday, and welcome in. We don't normally do these morning streams, but I'm happy to have you guys here. We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. The Mandalorian is just 12 days away, and the Mandalorian Extravaganza continues as we're going to break down some more of the Empire's articles, including one with Dave Filoni. But I do have some good friends here with me today, including our good friend Star Wars Santa. So welcome into the chat, Santa. How you doing?
Hello! Happy birthday, Sheiv. It's great to be here. I wanted to stop in, just wish you well on your birthday. I hope it is a wonderful day, and enjoy it, my friend. Enjoy it.
Will do. I definitely will. I'm going to Galaxy's Edge, so it's going to be hard not to enjoy it.
Fantastic.
Yes, awesome. I'm hoping to ask some questions from Mando and Grogu. See if they know anything about season 3. They can tell me. I know, they've been busy filming and doing.
That's right. And they've got a new season coming right up. They'll be filming on pretty soon. Now, word is like September. Mando 4 starts streaming. Yeah.
That's crazy.
They're busy boys. They're.
Indeed they are. So it'll definitely be fun to see them walk around Galaxy's Edge today. Meg, good to see you in the chat, by the way. Good to see everybody else. Kendall, good to see you, my man. Anakin Skywalker. Dawn, everybody in the chat, it's good to see you guys. Let's get this thing going, though. How much of the Empire articles have you got into? There's a whole ton of them.
I've got all of them opened to talk about today. So I've got the entire thing. We got it from Matt Risman. He posted all of it, so we can read the entire content of the magazine. So we're going to be covering that over on my channel during the normal time a little bit later.
You're a little more prepared than me then, because I definitely saw Matt Risman had sent those out. But
so there's we all know that Mando Din is and you did a great story on this the other day. There's more than one dude in that suit, right?
Yeah.
And Lateef, is that his name? Yeah, Lateef, and Brendan and yeah. Well, I saw on there Katie Sackhoff said there are 7 people that are in the armor for Bo-Katan.
I read an article that said 5, so 7 is even crazy.
7. She said 7. I was like, whoa. Some of it's for different stunt things, similar to Din Djarin, right?
Yeah. Meg, it's boring, not worth the read. She's talking about the full article. I'm dead. Well, I'm excited to get into at least the article about Dave Filoni talking about his Clone inspiration or his Clone Wars inspiration today, because I felt like there's probably some good stuff in that, and I actually saved it for my birthday because gotta love Dave Filoni, man. That dude's the absolute best in the fandom, and I'm just excited to see what the future brings with him this year, and John too. It's gonna be an awesome year. 12 days away from the Mandalorian. What is it, April that we're getting Star Wars Celebration? I'm sure there's going to be a ton of new announcements, including apparently the new Lindelof movie is supposed to be announced. So that's awesome news too. And then Ahsoka's on the back half of the year, hopefully, back half of summer or whenever. But it's going to be an awesome time. And I know Dave and John are bringing us a lot of good content. So definitely excited.
Oh, yeah. And I saw Bespin reported they're going to announce the movie slate at Celebration, and our friend Meg should be there. It's killing me that I can't go to London, but why they scheduled Celebration over Easter weekend, I'll never know.
It's over Easter weekend. I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
Easter Sunday. It's like, oh, come on now. I can't be away from family at Easter Sunday. I can't go to another continent. And not only that, but Mrs. Claus, she's not such a big Star Wars fan. It's not her. Her idea of fun is not going to a place where there are like 1,000 Star Wars fans being, nerdy Star Wars fans. I'm like, oh, come on. She said, well, you could go by yourself if you want to. That's fine. Like on Easter Sunday? Yeah, I'm not doing that. I wasn't born yesterday.
That's fine.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. It's a trap. Don't exactly. Advice for you youngins. Don't do it.
I'm lucky enough to have a significant other that definitely. I somehow got her into all this crazy Star Wars Jimbo Jambo. So I dragged her along with me when I went last year. But the two of us going to London, I don't know if that's gonna happen.
I would love to go. It's just I can't. I can't on Easter Sunday. Just can't do it.
Understandable. Easter is when Boba came back from the dead.
Oh no, Megan.
24 and doesn't look over a day over 19. You said it, Mike Porter. I have that baby face still a little bit. The beard helps, but not much.
I was gonna say it's not even a proper beard. It's like
come on, you
a
making
little.
fun of my patches, Santa.
Look, this is how you do a beard. This is
Much love, Tim. Sheiv, the one and only question I have for Dave, if I ever get the pleasure of meeting him, what is it? Oh, Sheiv, no, I don't know if I do now. That one went over my head, Meg. I'm confused. I'll have to ask.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so the movie slate getting announced is a big deal. I look forward to getting more info on that. And, you know, we've heard our friend Jason Ward reporting all kinds of stuff that's coming out. I think he's got a story today he's planning to release. I was talking to him yesterday. We'll see if he actually does release it today. That may give us a little more insight into some of the stuff that's going on over across the pond, right? Over in the UK.
Yeah.
They're doing things over there. They're building sets. They're shooting stuff. What are they doing? So there's some speculation on that front. You know, the just where they're shooting and what could be going on, but we don't have the deets, right? We're still waiting on that.
That's awesome that your girlfriend likes Star Wars, by the way, Meg. Everybody in the chat, I'm trying to read your guys' stuff. He's in a league with Pedro on the beard. To be honest, I got a little bit of, you know, close to Pedro's kind of thing.
And you know, Jason's been making a pretty good strong argument for them doing 3 live action Star Wars projects a year. If they take Skeleton Crew off of the 2023 schedule and just bump it over to January, right? Then, yep, that's number 1 for 2024. So 2023, we would have Andor, a Mandalorian.
And
2023. This year, Andor.
I thought Andor came out end of last year.
Yeah. No.
Be the 3rd. So we didn't.
Yeah.
I read over the Hollywood Reporter article yesterday that kind of talked about how there's supposed to be a slowdown for Marvel and Star Wars, and basically they were saying that they want to limit it to about a certain amount of shows for live action per year. It seemed like, and I was like, well, we're already getting like 3, maybe 4 live action shows at the most. I think if we get 3, it's not going to be that much of a slowdown.
No, it's great. If they push that on to next year, we would get Skeleton Crew and Mando season. Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka, and Acolyte, right, for 2024.
Yeah. Skeleton Crew, what? Which ones? Sorry.
Ahsoka.
Isn't Ahsoka 2023?
Ahsoka. When's Ahsoka's release date?
I think this year would be Mando, Ahsoka, and Skeleton Crew, like it's planned to be at the moment. Next year could be Acolyte, Andor Season 2, and I don't know what the 3rd one would be. I guess maybe Mandalorian Season 4? Since it is supposed to be... I don't know, because we obviously haven't even seen.
Well, yeah, that's what they still haven't given us dates. Yeah, so if it's going to be Ahsoka is this year, right? We get Mando 3 and Ahsoka. Skeleton Crew gets pushed to 2024. We get Skeleton Crew and Acolyte, right? We know those 2. and then we could possibly get Mando 4 at the end, depending if they're starting filming in September for Mando 4 of 2023.
Yeah,
it could make it in for December 2024, and then movies start in 25. And at that point, I would think that you would stick to 2 live action a year, right? A spring, summer, and then the movie for Christmas, right?
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. There could be the Lindelof movie maybe next year too, right? Or maybe the year after.
That'd be 25, right?
25. Okay, I wasn't sure.
25. Yeah, 25 is supposed to be the first movie.
I guess we'll get a confirmation at Celebration too.
Well, and that's the thing, because yeah, that's exactly the thing. They leave us to having to try to figure out a lot of this stuff, you know.
Well, that's how it's been the last couple of years with Star Wars.
Right.
I'm down to get into these articles, though. My bad. Just real quick, I'm down to get into these articles. I have a few to cover. The first one is that Empire with Dave Filoni. So let me pull this one up. I think it should be a fun one. If you're down to go into it with me, Santa.
I've got just a couple minutes, so yeah.
Cool. All right. So Dave Filoni on how the Clone Wars influences his storytelling on The Mandalorian. Things don't come to a perfect ending. He says, so it says, as the Star Wars franchise has expanded in recent years, it's become less a direct narrative and more a broad tapestry, interweaving all kinds of stories and eras and crisscross over each other. From the Skywalker saga movies to intersecting the animated series like Clone Wars and Rebels, and the new tales like Mandalorian, and expansions like Rogue One, Andor, Obi-Wan, and the Book of Boba Fett. All of that, plus an array of canonical novels, comics, and video games, have created an expansive canon with threads and that tie various mediums, and the characters that move seamlessly between every single one of them in an ever-growing timeline.
So here's my question. Right, it says we've got all these different mediums, right? We've got canonical novels, comics, video games. It says with characters tied in seamlessly between them.
Is it so seamless?
I mean, what's your definition of seamless? Right? like we had the whole little scruff there around Bad Batch season 1, right at the very beginning when you see Caleb Dune I always
contradicts some of the canon comics of Kanan as well. I mean,
they're seamless.
I will say
what you meant to say was seamless,
but it's definitely not quite seamless.
What you meant to say was seamless. Pretty sure.
I feel like there's some seams, but they're not quite like all the way retrofitted properly or whatever. You know what I mean? They're a little bit ripped apart.
Yeah, like the staples didn't fully take. You know, like one of those where the staple fell out and then the pages are kind of loose. Yeah.
But I get what they're getting at, and the point that Dave and John in particular are trying to create this expansive universe that, you know, all connects together, and they're doing a pretty good job, other than, you know, contradicting the occasional comic here or there.
Yeah, so I'm just like, what's the author here? Ben Travis? Like Ben.
Yeah.
What's your definition of seamless, my dude? Like, I don't...
Much love, Q. Bello, much love. He says, happy birthday, D. I appreciate it, Q. Hope you're doing well today and have a fantastic day yourself. I appreciate the $10 super.
Pretty sure Nikki in the chat would take an issue with the word seamless in there as well.
I'm sure she would. Good to see you, Nikki. So with this article, the other thing about all the content and everything, it makes me think of the whole controversy on Twitter lately of people talking about, oh, you know, what about the casual fan that hasn't seen the Book of Boba Fett? I've seen a bunch of articles and stuff lately that talk about how the viewership for the finale of the Book of Boba Fett was 36% higher than that of Mandalorian season 2. I'm sure people are going to be so confused.
Right. The vast majority of folks who are watching The Mandalorian are going to know exactly what happened with Grogu. Will there be some that didn't catch some normies, some people that are just casuals. They're like, I only watch the Book of Boba Fett because I only care about Grogu. But do those people exist? Sure they do. Of course they do. But we've got this nice little catch you up recap video. Let me ask you what Jason and I were talking about the other day. Do you think they'll put that on Disney Plus as a recap? And secondly, do you think for Mando season 3, it'll start with that recap previously, and with the little skip button over in the corner?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the thing. They always have season recaps, and the other thing is the Book of Boba Fett was marketed as The Mandalorian season 2.5. They were literally like, at one point we all thought it was supposed to be The Mandalorian, because when they were working on it in production, even the actors thought it was The Mandalorian. It's like,
yes,
it's literally the continuation of the Mandalorian story. And yes, we're really following Boba Fett because it is the Book of Boba Fett. We're taking a couple chapters to go follow Boba Fett. But at the end of the day, it was still a continuation of the Mandalorian timeline. And the fact, I truly believe Din Djarin had to be in that series. And you can't really put Din Djarin in the series without him thinking about his little boy that he just gave away. So he goes to visit him. And then when he goes to visit him, that makes Grogu be like, oh man, I want to go back with him. And Luke gives him the choice, and then he's back with him. So it just, to me, it makes a lot of sense that it's in the Book of Boba Fett and that they did it the way they did. And I think going forward, it's going to make more sense, hopefully, through season 3, why they did it this way. And
I think it would make a lot of sense. We would, Jason and a couple of us were on a Zoom call yesterday just to, hang out. And it seems like the branding for this era needs tightened up. Like, the Clone Wars era, and when you watch the Clone Wars animated series, it's not all about the clones and wars. Right? Some of it, you get the droid arc, with little Gascon Meeber, whatever, Meeber Gascon.
Yeah.
Jeez. Right, there's not a lot of clones and wars in that. You get a little bit at the end, but geez, right, it's not all that, and that it needs something. So we were kind of floating out this. So what if before the original trilogy, we call that the rise of the Empire, and then from the original trilogy era, it's the reign of the Empire, and then after Return of the Jedi, you have the New Republic era that takes you all the way up to the sequels. You've got a ton of content you could put under, say, the New Republic. And if you would have the Star Wars, the New Republic, a Mandalorian story, a Boba Fett story, an Ahsoka story, but the branding has that on it. You think that would help?
Maybe. I don't know. The other thing too, with the whole casual fan thing and not watching Boba Fett, the only person my dad doesn't. I don't think he cares enough. But my brother and mom, who are casual fans, tuned into Book of Boba Fett because as soon as I saw Luke Skywalker, I tell him, you guys are going to want to watch this. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure most of us did at the time. And so they ended up watching through the whole thing even without me. So I know they did. And the only other person in my family that didn't watch it was my, 78-year-old grandpa, who I will say, he is the one person in my entire family who, when watching the first trailer or one of the first trailers during the NFL playoffs, I'm sitting there watching with him. They air the trailer and he goes, oh, they reunited. And I was like, oh yeah, you should have watched the Book of Boba Fett. And I'm like, well, you still have time, Grandpa. You know what I mean? Go watch it.
Exactly. It's not a spoiler necessarily. Right? I think that we have plenty of folks who have seen the Book of Boba Fett. To your point, right? The vast majority of us seen this. The vast majority of us know exactly what's going on, and those who are grousing about it just don't like the placement, and that's fine. I get that. If it were my choice to make, I would have changed the marketing of it. I would have made it like we just talked about. I would have made all of this like the New Republic, Star Wars, the New Republic, a Mandalorian story like that, right? And then I know, like, oh, I'm watching along. I get the Book of Boba Fett. It's like this arc that's within that era, and I know all of it fits together. And so if Grogu comes back to Din in a Book of Boba Fett, so be it. Or you could have extended the Mandalorian by a couple of episodes.
Yeah. And I did put out on Twitter the other day, there's this picture I found, the one of Dave Filoni in the articles. Where
I love it. I retweeted it.
Actually, it's this one right here, this picture. And he's basically looking and he goes, yeah, we put Grogu's reunion story in the Book of Boba Fett. Deal with it.
Exactly.
And Commander agree. Oh yeah. Good to see you in the chat, Commander agree. All right. Let's get back on course. Stay on course. This kind of continuous storytelling was a major feature in the Clone Wars and Rebels, which grew alongside the events established in the prequel trilogy and beyond, which Clone Wars and Dave Filoni has brought us the so-called Mandoverse. Take the pivotal Mandalorian Season 2 finale, in which Luke Skywalker has re-emerged to take Grogu under his wing. There's a big question at the end of Season 2. What will Mando do next? Is the relationship over? In life, things don't always come to a perfect ending, Filoni tells Empire. In a major new interview alongside the Mandalorian co-creator Jon Favreau, he says, I think things can continue on and your adventure continues every day. I used to think about the Clone Wars all the time. When is the battle over? When is the struggle over? Because it culminates in Revenge of the Sith. But that can't be the ending for the show, even though that's the ending of that era. That's what took a while to figure out. And he's right in a lot of ways. A lot of things do have kind of sour endings because everything has to come to an end, and nobody really wants things to end. Even us Clone Wars fans, we still want more Clone Wars. It's like nobody ever wants things to end, but unfortunately, sometimes they do come to an end, and it's usually a sad ending at that. But
well, you could stretch a story too thin, right?
Yes, and the thing about doing endings for stories is that, and Dave will get into it in the article here, is that he likes to be able to continue the story of the characters even if they had a proper ending in another story. So that's something I love and admire about Dave is, a lot of fans will complain about the fact that they don't kill off enough characters. I beg to differ. Yeah. Have you watched the Clone Wars?
Well, let's go back to the original trilogy, right? We lose Obi-Wan right off the bat. But does his story end there?
No. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It continues on. And
it does.
The other thing I love about that little part that he just says there is, when is the battle over? When is the struggle over? That brought me straight to fives, and it makes me so sad just hearing him say those words. The battle is finally over. It's like, no. And there's another sad ending. So continuing on, it says establishing Luke and the Mandalorian timeline was a major punctuation mark in the story, but this is far from where the story of Luke, Din Djarin, or Grogu ends. I think in some ways you want each season to have a feeling of an ending, but in a lot of ways of what I've done, I don't like hard endings, says Dave Filoni. I think reading the book... Oh, it switched on me. I think reading the books and the series and then thinking, oh, there's another book. So yeah, he's saying that basically he wants us as fans to see this and be like, all right, this is one chapter of the book, or this is like one book to itself, and then it gets its own proper ending, and then it continues in the next chapter or the next book, which is a fun way to honestly tell the stories, because it is the way that you can kind of connect them all and make them all seamless.
Seamless.
Obsession. Why are you up so early? It's my birthday. I wanted to spend some time with you guys. I'm going to Galaxy's Edge here. I sent you a link, Obsession. If you want to join in, you definitely can, my man. Much love, though. Good morning, everybody in the chat. I know everybody's probably just waking up, at least on the West Coast. You know what I mean? It's early over here for Sheiv. That is kind of the bulk of this interview. I mean, there's a few more stuff he says, but there's a lot of good stuff on Empire right now. It's a fun time to be a fan with just 12 days until the Mandalorian, and it's exciting me just reading that little bit from Dave there, and knowing that the stories may never truly end, even if some of our characters' stories even eventually do.
Well, people complain about Ahsoka. Let me, because Dave clings to her so tightly, right? And in Rise of Skywalker, of course, Ahsoka, you hear her voice talking to Rey, and so a lot of people said, "Oh, that means Ahsoka's dead. If she's talking to Rey through the Force, that means she's dead." And Dave came out after that, and he said, with Gandalf and Rey or Ahsoka there beside, right? They thought I was dead too, right? No, not yet. So it doesn't mean that she's dead. And there's a lot of speculation about Ahsoka using the world between worlds and things we're going to see. Mm-hmm. And what if, just throwing it out there, this is what just my speculation. I have no information on this. Promise. This isn't me hiding anything. I don't know. I'm just good. I'm just saying. What if she sees Rey fighting Palpatine, right? The whole Exegol scene, and she sees Rey, and what she says to Rey, she says to her through the world between worlds in her own timeline, right?
That can make a lot of sense. Dave saw those movies and was like, it doesn't necessarily mean she's dead. I was like, what?
Right. Just talk to her right through there, right? And now we're like, wait. Now that thing that happened in Rise of Skywalker was the thing that happened in Ahsoka. And what happens to Ahsoka? We don't know. It's an open ending. So
let me stop you there, my good friend, because this is news to me that you think the world between worlds is going to be in Ahsoka. I like giving you a hard time about things when with our cat being bed and
he's not dead. You just wait. You just wait. When we see Cad Bane, my friend, their debts that need paid.
Well, if that happens, the debts will be paid. I promise. But
just saying. But yeah, no, I think it's been widely reported the world between worlds will be in it. I don't think they're going to manipulate things through the world between worlds. Right? There's especially one scene that I've heard of in that was widely reported. Yeah. See, RF Gaming, he knows.
He's trying to get you in trouble.
This is your show, so we'll let it go.
How about this? I got a good bet for you, Santa. I have this crazy theory that I super chatted to you guys the other day. I think you, Meg, and Jason. I think Grogu is going to be brought back to Luke Skywalker at some point during The Mandalorian Season 3. Because if you guys watched the Book of Boba Fett, which I'm sure most of you guys did. Hey, I'm sure most of you guys did. It's never really explained to Mando why Grogu is brought back to him. He's just brought back to him. Heck, Dawn even added a little bit of context potentially to this theory of mine that the reason R2-D2's beeping and trying to get out of there so fast is that Grogu convinced him to let him go. But I don't really think that's the case. I just think Grogu chose to go back to Mando, but it's not like Mando can understand Grogu. Nobody told Peli Motto, hey, the little green guy's back because he's done with his training and he chose to be with Din. It was like, oh, there's Grogu. Oh, he helped us stop the Rancor. And then Din's like, this thing just keeps following me around. I got to bring it back to the Jedi again.
No, he's not going to take it back to the Jedi again. That decision's been made, right? So,
but how does he know that? That's what I'm saying. No one ever explains it to Din Djarin, and I think even in the little clip that we get of Greef Karga talking to Din Djarin, Greef's like, I thought you completed your mission. Why is he back? And Din's like, it's complicated. What if he brings him back in the very beginning of the season? Because we see him and Grogu blasting off. Grogu's banging on the windshield at the end of the Book of Boba Fett. we see the two of them blast off. Well, where are they going? How about back to Luke Skywalker? And he's going to be like, dude, why is he with me? I dropped off the chainmail and everything, but is he done with this training? Isn't he going to be a Jedi? And Luke's going to be like, nah, fam, he chose you. And the even further addition to this theory is the fact that we keep seeing the flashbacks of Grogu in Order 66. Who unlocked that flashback to begin with?
Well, Luke helped him with his PTSD, right?
Yeah, but clearly it's not over because he's still having those flashbacks according to the trailers.
Yeah. So I think he's now past. He's working through the PTSD. He has the tools that he needs to cope with that. He's kind of back on track. He will just unlock those himself. If you're trying to say that he needs help unlocking them, no. He could just he's unlocking them himself in his own meditation, dreams, and that.
Interesting. Well,
yeah.
I'm willing to put a wager on it.
And I think, what do you think? Meg says no, but I think Grogu says hello in that one trailer, in the one teaser. He goes, hello.
I don't know if I've noticed it, but I feel like I have to go back and detail every single little moment, watch it on 2 times or half speed or something to see if he's like, oh.
I am convinced he says hello in that trailer where you see and Meg says no, he's just making cooing sounds. I'm like, no, he's talking. He's
well, maybe I'm crazy, but I'll take the bet of Luke Skywalker being in the Mandalorian season 3, or Mando potentially bringing him to him or something along those lines over Grogu talking. I do think Grogu will talk this season, though.
No Luke in Mando 3. I'll take that. You're
right.
saying Luke in Mando 3. I'm saying no Luke in Mando 3. I'm taking it.
I think that Luke will be in the Mandalorian season 3, and you don't. So let's put it on the board. Let's put it on the board.
It's on the board. It's on the board. We'll make it happen. But there's another bit to this I feel like I should share. I know some things.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, they do keep things pretty tight-knit. Luke Skywalker was a secret the first time.
That's true. I know somebody that's going to be in Mando 3. And it shouldn't be a surprise to people.
All right. Well, then I'm not going to
pick
you on that, but
it's not Luke. And it's not Luke.
I'm a crazy one for thinking Luke's going to be in it. They probably think that it's overdone right now, or the fans probably do. So
Meg's been sniffing it out, right? You saw Meg's video or her interview with
Paul.
Yeah.
And I apologize because yesterday I was calling him Paul Hyung-Sung Lee. It's Paul Sun Hyung Lee, and I will never make that mistake again, Paul. I am so sorry.
I keep flipping over to his character name, keep calling him Carson. Like,
yeah, it's easier to call him. It's easier to remember.
No, that's his character. Dang it. But yeah, Paul. So Meg leads Paul right up to the edge there on who might appear, and I think Meg's onto something.
All right. I definitely enjoyed that interview. If you guys want to check out more of it, Meg's been posting a lot of the little snippets from it on her videos lately. But if you want to check out the full interview, it is on her Patreon, so go check that out.
Yeah.
While you're at it, if you guys are enjoying the live stream, make sure to smash the like button for me, and then subscribe to the channel if you're new. It is my birthday, so if that does influence you in any way, just it helps out.
It is. Hey, I gotta go. I gotta get ready for my show, and I got some work stuff. I skipped a meeting to be here, so I gotta go catch up. So thanks, Sheiv, again. Happy birthday, my friend. It's so good to see you, and thanks for doing an early stream. Normally, you're doing these when I'm sleeping in the middle of the night, but here we are, daytime. Enjoy your day at Galaxy's Edge. I hope you have a wonderful day, my friend.
Thanks, Anna. I definitely will try to. And I hope your day is wonderful as well. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you. All right. We'll catch you later. Bye-bye.
Peace out. All right, y'all. So much love to Santa for hanging out with us. that was a lot of fun talking with him. I haven't been able to for a while, but yeah, I'm definitely happy to be doing a live stream early in the morning with you guys. I don't normally get to do that, and you know, it's nice to be able to. I've always wanted to be able to consistently do more of a morning stream. More people are up at this time, and more people are on YouTube, I think. But I appreciate everybody for being here. It really means the world to me. We got a few more articles and things to get through throughout the rest of it, but I'm going to check out the chat, see what you guys are saying. Santa is such a tease, right? He knows all these things, and he's just teasing us. Oh, look, another friend to add to the stream. Welcome in, Star Wars Obsession. Oh, my goodness.
Happy birthday. What up, my guy?
What up, dude? That was awesome.
It's early in the morning. What are you doing up? It's so early.
I'm still waking up too. You know,
it's so early.
OG put in the chat that he's having his morning coffee. Must be nice, man. I skipped my morning coffee to hang out with you guys.
Coffee. Coffee.
No, I know coffee's too expensive in Vegas. Coffee. Don't get me started.
No, you don't. Yeah, you don't need coffee here. I was like, wait, I get on Discord. I'm like, wait a minute, what is he doing? What's Santa doing? What the shit is going on around here? Goddamn street racers.
Eat chuta. It's too early.
What's up, dude?
Not too much. How are you?
Oh, it's just early. I was like, I usually get on. I'm like, oh, let's see what's going on. You know, maybe Josh is up, or maybe Santa's doing some stuff. But I'm like, what are you doing up so early?
Well, the grind has been real lately. I've been trying to get the streams going, and I've really been enjoying hanging out with the community lately. So I figured I'd get a little stream going before I go to Galaxy's Edge in the next
hour. You're going to Galaxy's today?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you better stream.
We'll see. I should probably charge my phone and plug in.
Definitely charge your phone. Grab an extra battery or something.
That's what I was gonna say. But yeah, I'm gonna probably try to ask Din Djarin some questions. So if you guys in the chat have any questions that you want me to ask the Mandalorian before Mandalorian season 3, or Grogu for that matter, because Grogu is at Galaxy's Edge now as well. I'll definitely try to ask them some questions today.
Yeah, I did see that there's a lot of that. That's cool. I didn't know you were going to Galaxy's today.
Yeah. I figured I would buy some tickets and go. Might as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Do you have anything scheduled, or did you just do it last minute?
It was kind of like we did it earlier in the week, so not too much is scheduled, but you know, I'm trying to save money right now anyway, and going there is a money. It's a trap.
Yeah, for sure. I wasn't sure if you had this planned out for a while or no. You just decided last minute. That's great, dude. Yeah, I was watching you and Santa chat a little bit earlier. I was like, oh, okay. Talking a little bit of Ahsoka, but that's like way down the road, man.
Yeah,
so far away. It's so far away.
Well, we were trying to talk a little bit about the Mandalorian season 3 too, and I may have made a bet I maybe shouldn't have for once, just to even things with Santa. And you know, I told them I think Luke Skywalker is going to be in season 3. Just they've been putting him in everything in the Mandoverse lately, but I'm probably wrong.
Maybe. I think that ship sailed. I think we're at a point now where it's more about the Mandalorian lore than it is about the Jedi, and I think that was just a piece of a puzzle, and he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna show up until maybe the next show, or maybe we'll see him with a young Kylo Ren as his first pupil, right? Because that's really that's why he went back. You know, I know that I haven't looked at the Favreau interview yet, but from what I can take out of it is that this story isn't about the Jedi, right? This story is about the Mandalorians and Grogu coming back. You know, it just shows that they're not heading in the Jedi way, that Grogu couldn't be his first student. It's more towards leading to the sequels. You know, everybody hates it, but you know, you can't have that story hold true and have Grogu be the first student. Like it doesn't hold water.
Yeah.
And if they want to make those, you know, if we're getting Babu Frick, and we're getting all these people and these sequel characters in this next season of Mando, or in this next evolution of Star Wars, this next phase. You know, even though everybody hates it, you got to remember all roads are leading to sequels, and showing Grogu as the first student takes it out of canon, right? Kylo Ren, Ben Solo has to be the first student. Otherwise, all of their lore makes no sense. So, it seems to me that, you know, Grogu leaving is essential to the arc of the long arc story.
Yeah, I think the other thing is I feel like everybody knew that eventually the two of them would return. When we saw, you know, Luke Skywalker leaving with Grogu at the end of season 2, we all knew that at some point, like, well, how are they really going to do the Mandalorian without Grogu? Which is funny because none of us knew that Grogu was going to be in the Mandalorian at the start of the show, you know?
Right. You don't even, yeah, and that's just it. Like, he can't. He's too integral to this story, right? I mean, the foundling, you know, being a foundling and that whole arc is a huge part of Mandalorian lore. So to abandon, you know, to complete your quest and take him back to his people, great. But if he didn't stay with his people for reasons, you know, he had to choose, then he's Mandalorian now. And for him, this part of his life is very short. To everybody else, it's their whole life. To him, it's a blip. So, you know, he could roll with the Mandalorians until they're all dead, and then go join Rey, and that's what it looks like they're gonna do, right? They're gonna use the Mandalorians for an extended period of time with Grogu, and then eventually he's going to meet up with Rey.
Yeah.
So
that would be cool.
That's what I'm saying is, like, he wasn't Luke's teachings and his ultimatums threw Grogu off, because, you know, the way he was taught during the Clone Wars and during the Jedi Temple and the Jedi Order was that only Sith deal in absolutes. So for him, Luke saying you have to pick red or blue, like you have to pick one, that's not the way he was taught in the temple, right? These are Luke's teachings. These are not the council teachings that he was brought up with, so to speak.
Yeah.
So for him to see that ultimatum, maybe was like, no, I think I'm out.
Well, and on top of the fact he just had a flashback of Order 66 from Luke and everything too, so it's like this Jedi stuff is kind of crazy.
Well, not only that, but he's like, I've done this. It didn't keep me safe, let's say, right? The Jedi didn't keep me safe, but this dude has kept me safe the whole time, right? And that's kind of what it could be about. And then, you know, later after the Mandalorian, you know, after Din's dead, maybe after his rule is over on the throne of Mandalore, maybe that's when Grogu's like, okay, let me go seek out another Jedi. Let me try this again, because his life is so short. It's like he's a teenager right now, right? He's trying things out.
Maybe even a little kid still, but yeah.
You know, if you look at, he lived to 900. I mean, you know, he's only he's an 18th through his life already. I mean, come on, that's nothing, you know? So it seems like they're setting it up to where he's making his choice now, but he lives so long, his choice now doesn't matter for later, because he can choose later to go and try to follow the Jedi Order, right? He can, when Rey starts the new, maybe that teaching isn't as aggressive or isn't as you know, absolute.
So I got another way to spin it, but I want to address this Mike Porter dad joke, because he's blessed us with one of his infamous dad jokes saying, what do they wish the person who only belches one day a year? A happy birthday. Oh, Mike Porter.
Best dad joke. I'm telling you, dude, you could do a short series with just Mike Porter dad jokes.
He should do like a YouTube channel and just do YouTube shorts.
YouTube channel of just dad jokes.
That'd be fantastic. I would be all for it. You know, he's got endless amounts too, so it's content for days.
Like it's endless. So, you know, you can have one a day forever.
Yeah, do it.
But yeah, man, I do think that we're not going to see Luke for a while. I think this season 100% has everything to do with Mandalore. Has everything to do with gathering all the Mandalorians back home, and watching Din be the Aragon, be the reluctant leader, be the person that he doesn't, he didn't want this. He just wanted to collect bounties and, be part of the Mandalorian creed. He didn't want to lead. And now he's thrust into this leadership position just because he beat up one dude.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I mean, that's what it kind of potentially seems like. I feel like it's him or Bo-Katan that's going to end up, being the quote unquote leader. But hopefully the two of them together can kind of reunite Mandalore in a way. Real quick though, Aaron Tomato, thank you for the $10 super. He says, have a blast at Galaxy's Edge today, and much love, my fam. I definitely will try to, and I appreciate the $10 super. Much love.
You gonna go build Stubby?
I might actually. That sounds like a fun idea. Ooh, that sounds like a really fun idea, actually. that would be great. Stubby definitely is around here doing some fun stuff. So maybe I'll have him actually be here in person, and that'd be fun.
Yeah, dude. I think this season of Mandalorian, I think we're gonna see no Jedi. I don't think we'll see Ahsoka. I don't think we'll see Grogu. I don't think we'll see any of them until after this season, because they have to build their forces, and Mandalorians and Jedi don't always get along. Yeah. So to have them around, to have any Jedi around is dangerous, because the old, like, especially for the Mandalorians that weren't foundlings after the Night of 1,000 Tears, those Mandalorians remember the Jedi presence. Those remember the Republic. Those
what's hilarious though?
Are not down for that.
That's Din Djarin, and and maybe it's just the way they write the story so that we can learn things as he goes. But Din Djarin was around obviously during the Clone Wars because he was getting picked up from B2 battle droids, and for some reason, maybe it's just because the Death Watch went into hiding after what happened to them in the Clone Wars and everything too. But he's just oblivious to everything that's happened. He's like, what's a planet Mandalore? What's going on? It got glassed? I didn't even know this was a thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was definitely part of the sect that was on Concordia during the Night of 1,000 Tears. He was definitely already... Mandalore had not yet fallen to the Empire, so it seems like they were watching from Concordia as the Empire took out what was left of the planet's population after everybody kind of left. So it just seems like, he was around, but he was oblivious. I think he was not necessarily he might have still been a youngling. He might. It's being weird because, watch, I'll just hit my desk. Oh, I didn't do it this time. But yeah, he might have been young at that time, right? I mean, he might have been, if the Empire has been blown up for 5 years, I mean, that happened potentially 15 years earlier. Yeah. Right. Because that happened shortly after the Empire took over. They glassed that planet. So, I mean, you got to think about it. He was a teenager when this was happening. Yeah. He was still probably in training, not even getting any information on anything. He's probably in a group of trainees, a group of foundlings that are figuring out their way. So, yeah, I think he would have been oblivious to everything that the Empire was doing, just because they were trying to avoid any Imperial entanglements at that time.
Yeah. So back to the Grogu question and of one day he could potentially still become a Jedi. I actually had a great question from Jawa Merchant last night in my stream. He asked if Grogu could potentially fall to the dark side, and it made me start thinking about it, and I'm like, it makes a lot of sense. From the very beginning of The Mandalorian, Din Djarin is this bounty hunter that goes to pick up Grogu, and the first episode that Grogu and Din are together, Din has to, literally disintegrate Trandoshans right in front of Baby Yoda's eyes. And from there, he sees all these crazy things, and maybe that arc is already starting to be corrected after he did the little force choke to Cara Dune. But I remember a time when a lot of us were worried in season 1, like, maybe this kid's going to fall to the dark side. And I feel like with his attachment to Din Djarin, having kind of Ahsoka even warn, I've seen what attachments can do to a Jedi. It made me really worried seeing that question last night. Like, could Grogu fall to the dark side in the future? Are we going to have 800 years of darkness of this guy reigning? That would be terrifying. Especially with him being a Mandalorian Sith, that would be. Whew.
Yeah, I mean, it seems unlikely. yeah, he's kind of not really using his force abilities the way that we see most, but also he's kind of an enigma, right? We don't really know his thought process. We don't really know his, he acts like a child. You see your parent in distress, you go and try to, as a toddler, try to, no, stop, don't hurt my dad, right? It's kind of that same thing for me. It's instinctive. It's not even something that he's thinking about, like, oh, all he's thinking about is I need to help the guy who's protecting me, right? And so it would seem like he would need somebody to push him across that finish line, right? Because right now I think he's kind of set neutral. I think he's kind of gray.
He's just a little kid.
He's just a little kid. He doesn't really know. He just knows he has this ability. He doesn't
he's still innocent. That's why he's spinning around in the chair in the new thing. Like he's having fun. He's trying to live his life.
And maybe that's the conversation. Maybe that's like he's too young to, like, I know the Jedi Temple was trying to groom him from this young age, but they also had another one of his kind there that could maybe communicate with him or maybe understand what it was like for him at that age, and that maybe Yoda didn't even get trained that young, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like he's still a child, like too childish, right? And almost seems like they're not, like, he's not ready to be trained. Like, he doesn't have the focus, he doesn't have the attention, he doesn't have the desire after what he's seen. So it's a very interesting thing. I mean, they could do it, but how do you pull him back is the question. Yeah. And who does he release his anger on, right? I mean, that's kind of where I've always been, that Bo is going to be the one that ushers in the knife from behind the back, so to speak. She's that ruthless, man. I mean, I'm telling you, I feel like the battle's over, everybody's watching, and they're like, yay, they won. And then she just comes in from behind him and guts him with a vibroblade and takes the saber out of his hand and kind of whispers to him, I told you to let me have him, right? Like, that's it, like that, because that's all she cares about. She doesn't care about anything else. She wants what's hers. And you hear it in the last episode of Mando season 2. I get Moff Gideon, he has something that's mine and I want it back, right? Like, she's almost talks about the Darksaber the way that Din and Moff Gideon talk about Grogu, right? You have something that belongs to me. It means more to me than you possibly know. Right? I mean, that's how she feels about it. So to sit at the end of a battle and take it from him, I mean, that just kind of, and then to have Grogu basically like, poof, that's the only way I could see him going dark. Like, somebody's got to kill or do damage to Din Djarin. Like, serious.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking though, because obviously, like, it makes me so appreciative of the fact that we're seeing the story of a Yoda species play out, because you kind of wonder how Yoda was alive 900 years, saw fall after fall of the Jedi Order, and like, different things. Like, he's seen so many people die, and the dude was just at peace with it. He's just like, it is what it is.
I hate to use this analogy, but to Yoda and Grogu, we're like dogs, right? Our lifespan is so short to them, right? I mean, think about our pets, right?
Yeah.
Your pets, if you have a dog, you get maybe 10, 15 good years out of a dog. So you could have 10 dogs during your life, right? If you live to be 100, you could have 10 dogs from the time you're born to the time you're dead. That's how we are to Yoda and Grogu. Their lifespan is so long that they see us coming and going, and they're like, oh, okay, well, got to put another dog down, let's get a new one, right? So for me, that's kind of how it feels for those two, because they don't, especially Yoda. I think that's why he's so zen, is because he had probably had attachments in the original Jedi Order, and then all of those people died and he's the last one standing, right? So for him, it's he looks at life different. And I think that's the lesson that maybe he was trying to teach Grogu, is that, look, we are going to live far beyond all of these people. you need to learn a better way, right?
Yeah.
You need to learn like me, because this is how long we live. And I think that's part of what he's starting to realize, is that he's a child with power, right? And there's no one there to tell him no.
Yeah.
Right? There's no one there to tell him, don't choke people, don't grab people and crush them, right? And then he watches Luke, right? This is the other part that people forget. He watches Luke using these traits also, right? So he thinks that this is okay, right? He sees Luke force crushing and walking through a battalion of a squad of dark troopers.
Yeah, he was mesmerized watching that little screen.
He's mesmerized.
Whoa.
He's watching him crush them like beer cans, and he's watching him do all this stuff, and he thinks that's okay because he has no one to teach him different, right? And then he goes to Luke's temple, and he's like, "Wait a minute, I just watched you like use dark side traits, and then you're telling me not to use dark side traits. I'm confused." Right? So, yeah, I don't think he's really thinking about being a Jedi. I don't think he wants to go through it. I think he just wants to hang out with his dude and hang out with my pops and go to Mandalore and kill some Imperials and force choke some monsters and call it a day. I mean,
yeah.
I don't see the Jedi showing back up.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably going to be too hopeful of a story for him to fall to the dark side. But real quick, Mike Porter with a $2 super says, ask Grogu what he thinks of the price of eggs.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. All right. We also have another good friend to bring onto the stream here. Star Wars Megan herself.
Oh,
happy
what
birthday.
Up, Meg?
Happy
Thank
birthday,
you.
Dylan.
What a beautiful background.
It's Scarif.
It looks pretty until you're the last person on that beach.
That is true.
That is no moon behind you. I mean,
no, that's no moon. It looked like a moon, but it's no moon.
No. How are you, Meg?
I'm not too bad.
Not too bad.
How are you?
Not too bad either. I'm having a nice morning. I'm happy to see you on the stream.
Same. Yeah.
It has been far too long since we talked, so good to see you. How have you been enjoying your Star Wars as of late?
That's a weird question. I don't know. I'm weird about it at the moment. I liked the last episode of Bad Batch.
Yeah, I think the last 3 have been a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Seeing Palpatine in the Bad Batch was definitely a fun way to end kind of get to the halfway point. And then I felt like this last episode, hanging out with Tech and getting a little bit more context of kind of his character and how he views things and everything, and seeing kind of the dysfunction of the Batch and how Omega just, couldn't even stand the fact that their brothers were arguing and they're kind of just falling apart without Echo. It was kind of cool to see.
Her brothers or her sons?
I know you're still on that theory. I love it too.
Or her sons. I'm sorry. I'm still holding on to that mother.
Have you heard this theory, Meg? That
I have.
Yeah, I'm still holding on to it, man. She looks at them like kids.
What were you gonna say, Meg?
No, I was gonna say I've heard Obsession state this theory before. It's interesting. It's quite difficult to debunk. Like
at the moment, for sure.
Until they show us different, it's hard to see it. She's so motherly to them, right? Like when Wrecker's on the table, getting his chip taken out, and they're like, you should probably get her out of here and take her for some air. And she's like, I'm not leaving. Pry me out of here. I dare you, right? Like it's very motherly, right? And then the loss of Echo, even though Echo wasn't really one of the batch. The way she feels about Crosshair and always giving him the benefit of the doubt. Not your fault, man. It's not your fault. This is how we were made. It's not it's constant that she is a child, but acts like their mother, right? And looks at them like mothers do, right? Even when they were arguing, like, you ever seen your mom when you and your siblings are arguing and getting at it? Just that kind of side eye, like, I could just smack the shit out of these kids, right? Like, that's kind of how she looks at them when they're fighting, right? And she doesn't like it. She takes it very personal, not so much as a child would, because a child wouldn't sit there and listen to their banter. They'd go play or do something else. It's very motherly.
How are we feeling about Mando season 3 with it 12 days away? Either of you guys? Just
I'm excited. I'm excited.
excited?
I'm not gonna lie to you. That clip that we saw did not get me excited. Like, there's just something about the way it feels where my suspicions that the Mandalorian has peaked already and now it's just heading in a weird direction seem to be true. I was excited to see Grogu again, but for me it just feels like, are we going to be like, it should have ended at season 2? That's been my concern.
Was this the clip that the last like trailer ish that they showed?
I think she's talking about the one with Grief Karga with Grogu spinning in the chair and Grief Karga asking him if he wants to buy a plot of land or whatever. So
I missed it.
I will say it is kind of a basic clip, but I will say, Meg, I get where you're coming from and the fact that it maybe didn't excite you, but I don't think you should be too worried about kind of the future of the Mandalorian in particular. I mean, I don't think it's peaked either. I think the fact that we're going to Mandalore, things are even going to get pretty crazier. They do have only 8 episodes, as Paul said on your interview the other day. Like, they got to spend like every second of that show giving detail, and you're gonna have an interaction with Din and Grief Karga when he visits Navarro, where it's gonna be a little bit of basic conversation. I feel like that happens every season. But then you think back to one of your favorite episodes, Meg, chapter 12 of The Siege, that had, Carl Weathers directed that episode. Grief Karga's in that one, and it did have that kind of basic, reunion of Mando and Grief Karga, where there is a clip like that.
That is true. That's a very good point. You bring up a very good point.
Yeah. So, I mean, it might seem like a basic little clip that could expand to a lot more when the episode actually finally airs. So I think, I am pretty hopeful when it comes to Star Wars, but I think we should definitely keep the hope that Mando is only going to get better from here.
This is why Sheiv is the best.
So this is the trailer where we saw this is the piece where we saw the last trailer at the end. You see those 3 flying Mandalorians, right? The argument that I've been seeing is that Boba in the far back out of focus?
I think so.
Right?
It definitely looks like him.
Okay.
It looks, yeah. I mean, the coloring's right. And it's blurred just enough so you can't really see it. And it's the very last millisecond. If you don't pause it at the right time, you miss it. So I know a lot of people were like, no, it's not him, blah, blah, blah. I do think
blue. I thought, I will say, admittedly, I thought that everyone was talking about the blue guy at first.
No,
and
I'm
I was
talking
like,
about the guy in the far background with no, like, you can barely see his color.
I thought the blue guy was Boba though at first, and then I looked even further and I was like, oh no, it's the little smudge right there.
Do you guys think that Cobb Vanth might decide to have armor as part of his upgrade?
Do you think Cobb Vanth is still alive?
Oh, definitely. I think that was what the Book of Boba ending was teasing. Like, he's going to get modded up and.
Yeah, that was a post-credit scene, right?
Post-credit scene, yeah.
Such a weird thing for them to have that as the post-credit scene to me, because obviously we haven't really had the continuation of the story, but I'm wondering when that's actually going to come back into play. Are we going to see Cobb Vanth this season, or?
I mean, with that kind of post-credit scene, I kind of think you have to. I kind of think he's got to be, he's marshaled up now. So they're going to start, reaching out to all these marshals of the Republic and stuff. So it just seems like you wouldn't put that. It's like the Fennec scene at the end of Mando when Boba picks her up, right? We all think she's dead, but next thing you know, she's got a new stomach. So I think we'll see. I think the same thing could be true with Cad Bane. I think that, I don't necessarily think he's dead.
You know what I think? I think you're right, but I think it's too soon for Cad Bane. Right. I think we're going to see Cobb Vanth maybe on Tatooine, and Cobb Vanth and the mods are the perfect people to kind of look after Mos Espa while Boba Fett's off-world.
Yes.
And I have a prediction that at the end of chapter 24, which is the last episode of season 3, we'll get another post-credit scene, which is going to have Book of Boba Fett season 2, or Cad Bane waking up on Tatooine, or something really awesome. I spoke to Paul Sun-Hung Lee about this kind of thing, and I asked him, is there like a Luke Skywalker moment? And he said there is, and it's even better if you're a Rebels fan, but he wouldn't tell me what he meant by that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's the great thing is the direction and what they're doing ties so well back to Rebels, ties so well back to where if people look, a lot of people don't want to watch the animated stuff. If I have to watch animated, if I have to watch something to catch me up, I don't want to watch it. Well, you're missing out, because the Clone Wars and Rebel stuff that are predating this are so good, and without the context, you lose a lot, right? So yeah, people may love the show and may love the series and may love the arc, but if you really love it, do yourself a solid and go catch up on. Even, I mean, that's the thing I love about what's going on Disney Plus right now, is that if you want to watch nothing but Mandalorian episodes of Clone Wars and Rebels to get caught up, they're there in a section that's labeled Mandalorian, so that you can catch up on the Darksaber. You can catch up on that whole journey leading up to Din Djarin, the whole Bo-Katan conversation. So I think that's, and then they're doing that Sabine and her brother on Tar Vizsla's statue, that little short
from what was it called? The Forces of Destiny, I think.
Yeah. And more lore about the Darksaber, right? So it just goes to show that that's the direction they're taking. This is the lore they're using, and Dave is doing such a great job at playing connect the dots right now. And the boomerang back stuff that you don't expect to see, like this conversation about, if you've watched Rebels, you're going to appreciate it. That's the boomerang shit that Dave's doing. He's like, all right, I'm going to throw this out there now 5 years ago, and it's going to swing all the way back around to now, right? Like the storytelling that this guy is doing is second to none. I mean, I put Dave Filoni storytelling up to Feige, right? Up to these high-end content producers, right? For Disney. I mean, putting the reins in the hands of somebody like Dave was a very good move, right? And the argument that he needs to be promoted more, I say stop that conversation.
I like him as part of the story. He's doing good where he is. He's kind of him and John are like leading the forefront of live action Star Wars, like in terms of television at least. So I'm happy with where Dave is. I hope he can continue to progress as a creator of these live action shows. So hopefully Ahsoka is just balls to the wall crazy and epic. And as far as Cobb Vanth go, Meg, I love that. I love that he could potentially be the one that takes over Tatooine, or replaces Boba. It's cool to see that Boba really kind of respects him, sort of, too. Like, he lets him have the armor. He definitely knew that he had it, that whole time that he was on Tatooine. We even see him kind of watching in the distance at the end of Mandalorian season 2, episode 1. He didn't come up to him and was like, give me my armor. He's just like letting him have his armor, and then when Din takes off with it, he's like, all right, I want my armor back.
Yeah, see,
the thing with Cobb Vanth is, I think you need the mods. I do think you need the mods. I know a lot of people didn't like them, but I feel like they have potential as like a concept that could be really fun. I feel like Book of Boba Fett season 1. I felt Book of Boba needs another season, because season 1 was setting up all of these different things, and we're like, oh, okay, that's a bit weird, that's different. I called them the Teletubbies, but people call them all sorts of Skittle Rangers, whatever. But I do think they have potential in season 2 to act as bodyguards. I think with Black Chrysanthemum and Cobb Vanth, I think Boba's got a newfound family, and I feel like that's such an overlooked part of the story. I think it was it you, Sheiv, on Twitter, where you said to someone about the reunion that like Marvel has like a million shows you need to watch to understand something, and Star Wars just gives you an extra one, and people are complaining. I think it was you who said that.
Yeah, not to take shots. I think it was Hello Greedo was basically talking about how it was his wife and him thought it was stupid. You had to watch another show to understand something from another show, and it's like, dude, that's entirely Marvel and Star Wars in a nutshell.
But that's comic books, though. I mean, like, that's comic book movies, right? Whether you're talking about the Flash, whether you're talking about Batman or Superman and the DC stuff, or whether you're talking about Marvel and their comic book run. That's the difference here. And that's something that people forget all the time about Star Wars. George didn't make this off of a comic book. George didn't create this off of somebody else's work, right? George created this universe. George created this, and then people have made comic books that have spun off, and they've made this and that have spun off. But really, Feige and all of the leaders at Marvel, and the same thing at DC, they have 20 to 30 years of comic books that they can pull story and decide which version of the comic, whether it's Spider-Man 2099 or it's, modern day Spider-Man or whatever it is. Same thing holds true for DC, but Star Wars doesn't get that luxury, right? So they're pulling stories out of thin air. They're creating stories instead of retelling stories, right? So there's a huge difference that goes on between Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. And with Star Wars, they can only continue on without reference material. Yes, they can use Legends and EU as reference, but there's no real reference as to the story creators, right? Because I mean, you look at
they're creating new stories,
New
like
stories.
even though Marvel is creating new stories, they're based off of the old
no,
stories.
they're really not. They're really not. They're going through comic book runs and they're pulling the stuff that they want out of comic book runs, and they're making those comic book runs. Secret Wars.
I mean, you could argue that they're doing
Gang
that with
Wars.
Legends as well, but it is new versions of the stories. But I mean, they're titled the same. You know what I mean? It's still kind of
Sorry to interrupt
essentially.
you guys. I do have to run, but thank you so
worries.
much for having me on, and happy birthday, Sheiv. I really hope you have a great one. Obsession, it's a pleasure as always to speak
Always
with
good
you.
to see you.
Same. I'd love to speak with you again sometime.
Let me know when. I'm always
you allowed
down.
me on your channel once, and it was a great conversation. Thanks,
Anytime-
guys.
Anytime you want,
Much
you're
love,
down.
Mike.
Sounds great.
Thanks for hopping on, me.
Yeah, dude. I think that like I said, I think Boba Fett season 2 should take a different arc. I don't think that they should continue. I think they should let the continuation of Boba season 1 finish in Mando, and if you're gonna do a season 2 of Boba, then it has to be Jaster, it has to be Jango Fett based. It can't be Mace Windu based at all. He didn't mention Mace Windu once in season 1. You can't have if he was obsessive about finding Mace Windu, we would have heard his name a bunch of times by now.
That is probably He's not like Maul where he's like Kenobi.
No,
you know what
he's
I mean?
not. He's not that obsessed. Yes, he knows that who did it, and you saw that in Clone Wars. But to see that arc doesn't make sense at this point. But to see Boba research his lineage through Jango Fett, that's a whole nother conversation, and that sticks with the Mandalorian lore that they're going on right now. So to hear that Jaster was titled Mandalore, right, and then Jango was his apprentice,
His foundling, yeah.
right? So, and then Boba is a duplicate of that, just shows that Boba belongs in the fold with the Mandalorians. He just never got told his history, right? So for me,
What's funny about that? I was actually watching back some of the one clip where he's actually talking about, who this is my father's armor. Yeah. I think he does know a little bit of the history, and I was actually surprised watching back that he does. He talks about how his father actually fought in the Mandalorian Civil Wars, I think, which is mind blowing to me.
That's what I'm saying. If you're going second season, that's the thread you pull. You don't go Mace Windu. You don't go, this man killed my father. No, forget that, right? If you do it, you go back to what you've already stated. The chain codes in your armor dictate you're part of the Mandalorian creed, and I think that's how he makes his way in, right? I think that's how, it. But was it written by George? If the comic was written by George, my statement still holds true.
I honestly don't know. That's kind of cool though. I have no idea.
But for an opening scene of season 2 of Boba to be coming off of Mandalore with Din and all them, and to show up or before the big battle as he's building the army, however they spin it, for him to show up and Bo-Katan start spouting off about him being a clone and about him not to show the history of his armor and to show that to her, right? Not just Din, who really doesn't give a shit, but to somebody who's been part of the Mandalorian culture for her whole life. To hear the name Jaster, that would spark something.
That probably would mean something.
That would spark a conversation going, shit, right? Like, oh, you know more about our history than I thought you did, right? You're not just some clone, right? And that's the conversation that I
That'd
think
be awesome.
to be had. If you're gonna go Boba season 2, it's got to be Boba and his search for his history,
Yeah.
right? Recordings of Django, right? Maybe even something like a flyover over Camino, right? All these years later. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity out there than just going after this loose thread that's in the middle of nowhere that is Django Fett, that is Mace Windu. It makes no sense, right? So if they are going to do a season 2 of Boba, that's the stuff I want to see. I want to see him, in the Django armor, right, with a Jaster character in a flashback, and maybe seeing something in a Bacta tank like DNA memory or something like that.
I've been loving talking with you and getting your perspective with all of this, man. Especially hanging out with on your channel the past couple of weeks, dude. Like it's been a blast hanging over at the Star Wars Obsession before the Bad Batch episodes, and I really do think now, after talking with you all this time, like I'm almost positive we're gonna see Boba in the Mandalorian season 3 here. I don't know at what point he's gonna come in, but even that little splidge did look like him in that little part of the trailer.
It looked like they blurred him out with a blur brush. They're like, no, you can't see who this really is. Yeah, we don't want you to know. And I think that's the card they're holding to the vest right now. I think they're showing us Darksaber, they're showing us Din all over the place. Eventually, he's either going to go back to Navarro, or back to Tatooine, which we know because we saw the scene with Pelimoto, right? So he's going back to Tatooine. We know. So that's the perfect time to have the conversation with him. Like, look, I'm going back to Mandalore. I need you with me. The battle here showed me that we are the same.
Exactly.
And you belong with us. You belong with your people. You are one of us. I don't care what Bo-Katan says about clone this or clone that. You showed me in battle that you are Mandalorian.
Yeah, I think they're gonna call all the He's trying to unite all the Mandalorians.
Got the bat signal on, bro. The bat signal's out, bro.
It's just a Mandalorian helmet in the sky, but it's out there.
It's out there, and I think we're going to see a lot of ragtag characters come together that we don't anticipate seeing together, right? I think Din is starting to realize the power of that saber, not just in the power of it like as a weapon, but as a signal.
Yeah, so it's hilarious to see him in the Book of Boba Fett, using it as just to hunt down dudes and just chop them in half. It's like the most brutal thing we've ever seen, and it's like, that's not how you should be using the Darksaber, man. Come on.
Well, no, it is, because that's how the Mandalorians use it. That's not how we're used to seeing it.
I'm just saying, like, he should be using it to unite the people is what I'm kind of trying to get at.
But that's just it. He at that point when we saw him do that, he didn't know the story.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Right? Like that's the best thing about it, is that he only knew that Bo-Katan wanted it. Right? That's all he really knew. But he chops these dudes in half. He takes a severed head to figure out where the armor is, and then she tells him what it really is. Yes, it's a saber. Yes, it's unique, but it's also a beacon.
Yeah,
it's a beacon of hope for Mandalorians, and the fact that it was in the hands of an Imperial and you won it from him,
that means something,
right? Yeah, and so he's going to basically find all these coverts. I think you're going to see people working together that we didn't think. I think you're going to see the armor and Paz come into the fold and meet on Mandalore and run into Bo-Katan. You're going to see Boba Fett show up, so there's going to be that lump of shit that's also in their mix, right? All kinds of craziness that you're not Mandalorian, whatever, right? And then you're going back to Mandalore, right? You're gathering troops everywhere, so you walk into coverts, they're like, who the fuck are you? And then he just lights the Darksaber. He's like, I need you guys to come with me. Yeah. We're going home. And everybody's like,
we're going home! It's going home!
Right. So
that'd be awesome.
I really do think that's what this season is going to be about. The majority of this season is going to be about Din finding the other Mandalorians and going home.
Hell yeah. I'm all for it if that's the case. And I do think that, Meg talked about Cobb Vanth potentially taking over. I think Boba definitely is being brought into it. And to your point, I love that when he goes to see the armor in the Book of Boba Fett, she talks about this legend that the Mandalorians have, that the Mythosaur will rise up and usher in a new age for Mandalore. Well, whose signet is the Mythosaur?
Right.
Boba Fett.
Right. Well, and I do feel like there could be some infighting when we first get to Mandalore, right? There's
Definitely
gonna
be some,
There's gonna be some of that old school throne room fighting, getting,
some Game of Thrones, if you will.
Yeah, and I think that ultimately those three are gonna be the three that are making decisions, right? Boba, Din, and Bo. And oddly enough, I just got my third helmet in that series, so I just got the Bo helmet.
Yo, that's sick.
I got all three, and I think those are the three that are gonna make the most. We're gonna see the most. I think the armor is gonna come into the fold. I think Paz, and I think there will be another fight for the Darksaber. I do think somebody will challenge again when they see it, not knowing who Din Djarin is and what he's already accomplished. So I'm looking forward to some Mandalorian on Mandalorian crime for sure. But I'm most excited about the lore, right? I do hope that Din goes back and says, look, I don't care if you're a clone. You're one of us.
I kind of hope we get a lot of flashbacks this season, just kind of showing us like everything that kind of went down on Mandalore. I mean, we started to in the Book of Boba Fett, seeing the Night of 1,000 Tears, get the bombing of Mandalore, Sindari at least.
Sindari, yeah.
So I would love to see a few more flashbacks. And Sabersmith, I don't know if we will see a lot of Boba, because I personally, I do think he's going to be in the season. I do think we'll see a decent amount of him. But similar to how we don't see that much of Din Djarin in the Book of Boba Fett, I'm really hoping that we don't see too much of Boba, because I want his story continued in Book of Boba season 2.
Well, I think it would be ironic towards the end of the season if they're on Mandalore and Boba starts digging around in some of the archives, so to speak, and finds Jaster's true history, right? And finds all that information, and then that leads him into the second season of searching for more of his lineage of his destiny, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right. So, and yeah, I mean, I think that the Mythosaur is a huge deal. Like I've said, I think the fact that the last Mythosaur is sleeping under the living waters of Mandalore, hibernating, so to speak, and that there could be a pocket of special Beskar that he's guarding, right? Because they talked about the Darksaber, and Din's like, this is a quality of Beskar I've never seen.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, that is 1,000 years old, my guy. We haven't seen quality of Beskar like that since Tar Vizsla, right?
Quite a long time.
So I do think this could almost be like a Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets kind of thing, where the Darksaber is the key, right? And it unlocks a chamber where the last Mythosaur is hibernating, and there is a pocket of this unique Beskar. This 1,000% pure Beskar.
That would be so cool. They should make Grogu's helmet out of that.
That Din Djarin's new armor is going to be made out of. Right? That would be dope. Making it
save
black,
some for Grogu.
Making it black like Tar Vizsla's.
Yeah.
Right? Like a full Mandalorian new suit and black Beskar, and then melt down his armor for Grogu's armor. Like and what would be even more fun is if he took his helmet off in front of the armor and gave it to her and said, melt this down for the little dude. And then dons his new Mandalore, right? Make a new Mandalore helmet.
Yeah.
Right? That would be an amazing scene.
It would.
I mean, think about how cool it would be if there was already like a forgery, right? A foundry.
Okay.
Down in this secret layer of Tar Vizsla.
And there's still some Mandalorians like chilling
whole,
down there.
No, just an empty lab.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Empty lab, an abandoned lab that he never came back to, and it's a secret chamber that the Darksaber opens, and only the sound and harmonics of the Darksaber open it, or maybe you put it into a slot and ignite it, and it opens the door. Something cool.
It is a very weirdly shaped saber, you know.
Right.
What I mean?
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
It probably could be like a key. Or
almost
something.
Looks like a key, right?
Yeah.
So it would be cool if he's like put that in a slot and ignited it, or put that in a slot and then told Grogu, hey, I need you to lift this boulder or something, right? Because it has to be a Jedi Mandalorian, right? It's got to be unique to that Jedi Mandalorian thing that Tar Vizsla was. So it would be awesome to see Grogu and Din work together to open the chamber, right? That would be so poetic because he could never do it without Grogu. So without finding Grogu, he would never really truly become Mandalore.
He would never truly be able to do
Open
what
the
he was
door
supposed to.
and find the Beskar and find the hidden foundries and find the
Star Wars is such a beautiful thing.
and find that mythosaur, right? Because I think that's why we saw Din Djarin ride the Rancor and fall off. Because
Did he ride the Rancor?
Yeah, he tried to get on and it bucked him.
That's crazy. I will
really
say too,
off.
I felt like, I'm doing the rewatch of Mando season 1 and everything right now. I've totally felt like that scene with Queel where he's just like, your ancestors rode the mythosaur, and he's trying to get him to just ride the things like, or whatever they're called. I don't remember what they're called right now. The blurg, yeah. When he's trying to get him to ride those, it felt like such a like preview for it, you know what I mean? Such a foreshadowing of what was to come down the line, and him potentially riding a mythosaur.
I mean, look at how Dave has always thrown these pearls in there, and then we get them later. Look at the Ahsoka pearl. Is she dead? Is she not? We don't know. Who knows, right? But you get the blur conversation. Then the Rancor bucks him, right? Like he gets on, tries to do what Boba did, and the Rancor bucks him off and is like, nah. And then he slams him into the ground.
Yeah.
Right. So you see Din having these problems with the beasts, so to speak. But how ironic would it be for him to ride the mythosaur? Yeah. Right, having such a hard time with these other beasts, and then getting to the mythosaur, and then mounting the mythosaur and coming out of the waters for all Mandalorians to see. That just solidifies that he is the rightful ruler.
He's that guy.
He's the guy, right? So I do think I mean, it would be ironic and it would be great if it was Boba, but the story of this is Din Djarin. Right, it's not the Boba story, so it really would hold more fact that Din holds the saber, finds the new Beskar, finds that pocket of Beskar that was only Tar Vizsla's, and then mounts the mythosaur, right? Yeah. Awakens the mythosaur, and the fact that Queel said it, the fact that the armorer has said it, the mythosaur has been mentioned several times in this series already.
Yeah, those
are absolute Easter eggs. Those are absolute pearls that were breadcrumbs that we're following right now.
I'm with it, man. I'm following your lead. I'm totally down for it. I think the mythosaur is probably either gonna be in there or it's a metaphor for Boba Fett. I don't really know what he's gonna find down in the mines beneath the waters of Mandalore or whatever.
the living waters beneath the mines.
There you go. I mixed it up.
But see, that's so fitting because the best pockets of metal and gold and things like that are close to water.
Interesting.
Right? Like, yeah. I mean, if you look at some of the gold pockets that people find and some of the valuable precious metals, they're underwater or they're on a stream where they're getting, you're finding that mineral. So to have a bigger, better vein of Beskar somewhere on Mandalore would pretty much hold true to most mining organizations. Yeah. So, and to know that Tar Vizsla kept that to himself is very, very Mandalorian, right? Like,
yeah. I will say, Sabersmith, real quick, please know Ahsoka in season 3 says, I've been saying that maybe she will be, and if it is, it probably won't be till maybe a post-credit scene, hyping up Ahsoka show or something like that, but I don't think we'll see too much of Ahsoka in the Mandalorian.
No, she's on a journey, dude. Because as soon as we see her with Din, next thing we know, she's with Luke at his temple.
Yeah,
I think that's just a waypoint where next she is on her way to
pick up Sabine. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I think it was just a stop to check in on Luke and Grogu, and okay, everything worked out great. And as soon as Din leaves, she's like, I gotta go. I got promises that I gotta keep. And I would like to see that as the first scene in Ahsoka. Since you showed me that shitty Luke scene with Ahsoka and Luke meeting, which I fucking hate. I would like to see the first scene in Ahsoka be Grogu right after R2 takes off with Grogu. They have a quick conversation about, was that wise? You know,
So do you think Ahsoka's still there, or did like at the time he left?
I think as soon as the ultimatum happens, she leaves.
Because I would love for in the Ahsoka show, for her to see Din Djarin with Grogu, for him to pop in at some point and be like, "Yo, no, like the attachments are going to be an issue," and then that's when Anakin's Force Ghost like comes and is like puts his hand on her shoulder and is like, "It's okay, my Padawan." Like,
I think she was there when he got sent away, to be honest. I think she absolutely knew about it. I think they probably had a conversation about it, to be honest. Luke and Ahsoka, absolutely. Because she was there when Din left, and they had Grogu and Luke had that conversation immediately after Din left. Here's what he brought you. Here's your ultimatum. Choose. And and Ahsoka sees this or watches him send Grogu away and is like, was that the wise thing to do? And he's like, I'm not choosing his path for him. That's the problem. That's the problem the Jedi had. Yeah, they almost forced indoctrinated, right? So to see them have that conversation and then her go, well, you're right, good luck in your school, I have promises to keep, I gotta go. And then she gets in her ship and off to find Sabine.
Yeah,
you know,
I got business to take care of.
I got promises to keep, right? And then that's when she takes off, grabs her gray or her white cloak, grabs her Beskar staff, and says, all right, gotta go find a friend, see ya. And then they're out. But I don't want to see Luke in season 3 of Ahsoka at all. I don't want to see Ahsoka in season 3 of Mando. I don't want to see any of that. Save it for Ahsoka.
Make it about the Mandalorians.
Make it about the Mandalorian. At least until the cinematic. At least until the cinematic event that they're talking about. Make it Mandalorians until Jedi and Mandalorians are fighting the remnants of the Empire or Snoke or...
I'm cool with that. Or like very little, like maybe just one episode kind of a thing. And even then, like...
A blip. A quick blip. So
yeah, I'm with you.
I don't know, man. We got 12 days until this shit pops off. I'm very excited. I mean,
me too.
I am very, very excited.
So
I'm hyped for it.
I'm super hyped. I can't wait. 12 days, can't get here soon enough. I just found out I have the first off, so I will be up late watching the stream or watching the show on stream. So yeah, we'll be somewhere.
Definitely.
We'll do our pre show like we always do, but then we're
if you want to hop on or something, I got to figure out the Streamlabs still and how to invite people on that, because StreamYard's just a little bit easier still at the moment. But
it is. I mean, I've been working with Opus. StreamYard is still more fluid.
Yeah.
Other than, you know, the new stuff has fun tools, but StreamYard's just so fluid, having 5 years head start. So it is a little easier. And labs tends to be a little harder to collab cam and all that stuff, and then you got to build the set, and it's a pain. So yeah, dude, like I said, if you're doing it, I'll be up. My goal was to probably pop around a bunch of streams during the viewings, because I'm not going to do a viewing party because there's already so many of us. But I'm going to do, we'll do the pre-show like always, and we'll chitty chat. And I think the premiere is going to be fire, man. I'm excited. I hope it's a longer episode. I hope they give us something close to a full hour to get us in.
Me too.
And then, taper it off like always. But if it's anything like, it's hard to follow up on a finale like that. That's the hard part.
That is true.
Follow up on a
Apparently, Paul thinks that there could be something that's bigger. Paul Sun-Hyung Lee. So, and of course, he does play Carson Teva in the show. He doesn't know too much about it because, of course, they keep everything, so limited to what they give you as an actor. But I'm excited to see what it could be. 12 days away. It's going to be an absolute blast. Thanks for hanging out with me, Obsession. We're going to get on out of here.
Happy birthday. Have fun at Galaxies.
Definitely will.
Be sure to charge your phone.
I'm going to try to bring, I'll figure it out. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Thanks for hanging with me, though. let's do the outro real quick. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. I appreciate every single one of you guys for being here this morning and spending my birthday morning with me. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you all for hanging out with us, though. We're going to get on out of here. And tomorrow morning, we should be doing a continuation of our Mandalorian rewatch. So if you guys want to hang out with us for that, we should be starting up around 9 a.m. Hopefully watching at least 4 through 6 of season 1. So if you guys want to see that, go check it out. Make sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed this live stream. And I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you always. Peace.